Hi, here we are. We're going to talk about skeletal system for week 4, and I know some of you probably have already started on it, and that's good. Um, I got a little outline. Skeletal system is high on anatomy and not so much physiology. The physiology that there is to think about is pretty interesting. Maybe I can simplify it for you. First of all, um, in your learning objectives, it wants you to know the functions of the skeleton. Well, the Paul Anderson video has that, plus he's got some good video on introduction to joints and the different kinds of them. Let's take a look at that. So this is his video, and this is a couple minutes into it. It's about 8 minutes long. And support, movement, storage, blood production, and homeostasis. So the skeletal system is alive. I guess one of the messages that I'd like you to get is that it is living tissue, and bone is not just like the skeleton of a house, a bunch of studs. Bone is made from protein, and then that is mineralized. So it's a protein matrix that's mineralized, and it's living and it's active. And you might want to refer back to the video by, let me move this camera over. If you remember the video by on regenerating bone inside the person underneath the periosteum, which is very rich in bone stem cells called osteocytes. And the learning objective also wants you to learn about osteocytes, osteoblasts, and osteoclasts. Okay, so the next thing is skeletal diseases. And by the way, Miriam Diamond, I would call her the grande dame of anatomy and physiology. She's been teaching it for many years. I think she's still alive, and I don't know if she's still teaching it, but every one of her lectures for a whole course in A&P is available on the internet. And she has a very nice set of lectures, and I'm going to give you the one that's lecture 6 on the skeletal system. She's got more than 6 videos an hour long just on the skeletal system, including anatomy and physiology. And then she talks about osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, and osteoporosis. And the arthritis discussion starts on at 42 minutes. So you can Google this, Miriam Diamond Skeletal System, lecture 6, and at 42 minutes you can get this information. But you're welcome to look at plenty of other videos that she has also. And I'll show you what one of those looks like. So there's Miriam Diamond. She is a famous lady. She actually dissected and examined Einstein's brain after he died. She's a pretty sharp girl, and she has really good lectures. So I recommend them if you can find time to watch some of them. But I tend to just go through them like, you know, back and forth looking for things because I've watched them all. And I know there's a part where she talks about osteoporosis, and the message that, in case you don't find it, that I want to give you on osteoporosis is you maintain bone density by putting pressure on the bone, which means by exercise. So you know that when people take their broken limb, like an arm or a leg, and have it in a cast for a long time, when the cast comes off, that bone is pretty puny, but after it's being used for a while, it builds back up. And that's what osteoblasts do. Osteoclasts tear it down. Osteoclasts tear down bone by spitting, literally, basically, secreting acid onto the bone that makes the hydroxyapatite, or the mineral in the bone, dissolve. That's what it does. It dissolves. And osteoblasts take that mineral from solution and make it solid and put it back into the bone, into that protein collagen, which is what your bone is made of, collagen, and then it's plastered, almost like plastering the lath on a wall in a home. It's plastered into that matrix that's created by the protein. So there's always bone remodeling going on, and it's a feedback system. You remember reading about feedback systems and with respect to homeostasis, okay? And we'll be talking about a little bit of that when we get down here to physiology. But basically, I can mention this now. Calcitonin is a hormone that's made in the thyroid gland, and it causes bone to build. Parathyroid hormone is made in the parathyroid glands, which are small little bodies within the thyroid gland, and they cause bone to be resorbed. So basically they increase calcium concentration in the blood, and it's done by causing more bone resorption because homeostasis is one of the functions of bone. It also increases calcium uptake from the intestine, and it decreases calcium secretion by the kidney. So the objective of parathyroid hormone is to maintain higher or normal homeostatic blood densities of mineral. Calcitonin's job is to take it out of the blood and put it into the solid form in bone. Both of these hormones work simultaneously and actually move calcium around the body from bone to other bone and that's called bone remodeling. So if you're a runner, you'll get stronger bones in your legs. If you're using your arms, you'll get stronger bones there. If you don't want osteoporosis, then walk a mile every day. Do some vigorous exercise for an hour every day, and you can avoid osteoporosis or osteoporosis, maybe that's the way to pronounce it, but because what happens is inactivity, being a couch potato, will cause your bones to be resorbed and be weak. There's plenty of research today talking about kids in schools who are having problems with broken bones and green stick fractures because they don't have enough calcium, they don't have enough exercise. And I remember specifically that the article I read suggested that kids in schools, especially in middle school, should have 5 times more milk per day than they are now getting. And that's a major medical concern because kids just aren't getting the exercise to cause themselves to build the bone. Okay, so then another aspect of this is the big part is gross anatomy. There's 206 bones. 207 if you had a baculum. Do you know what a baculum is? Look it up. It's an os penis. Most mammals have a penis bone. Humans don't, but most others do. And sometimes it's somewhat vestigial. Sometimes it's very large and very valuable in the trade. You can look on eBay and find coon bacula for sale and coyote bacula for sale. They call them Arkansas toothpicks. It's a joke. But an oolic is a walrus penis bone that Eskimos carve on and make real artful presentations. So let's look that up real quick. Oolic. Huh. Wrong thing. I'll do it another way. Walrus penis bone. Baculum, walrus baculum. Okay, there's a picture right here. That's a dog. There's a raccoon right here. There's the walrus. And if it's pre-60s or pre-70s, whatever it is, Pre-Endangered Species Act, you are allowed to own it. Otherwise, you cannot. I saw one for sale for $600 once, but that was cheap. I should have bought it. Could have resold it probably for $6,000, by the way. Interesting. Okay, back to the outline. So, I'll actually attach this outline too, so you'll be able to have it. Gross anatomy, 206 bones. So how do you study anatomy? Well, what I like is to use biodigital human, okay? And I'm going to show you that. But you sign up for a free account. Here's the skeletal system, and if I...
Skeletal System.
There's audio with it. And if you have an iPad, you can get it, but it costs money. I don't think you can really get it on an iPad, but you can get this free version on a PC. And there's skeletal system. We can look at bones of the head. Okay, and we can turn this thing around. We look at all those bones. And if we want to know what this bone is, we just clicked on it. Left parietal bone. Okay. Then there's tools up here that you play with and you can dissect to look at what's inside. I suggest that you break the skeletal system into parts. For example, there are 22 bones in the skull or in the head. Some of them are in pairs, but some of them aren't. So this was the frontal bone, and the back one behind is a occipital bone. And then there's a parietal bone right here. So that's frontal, occipital, parietal, temporal, and look at right here, sphenoid. Sphenoid like the wings of a bat or a bird. And you can look up sphenoid bone and see what it really looks like. It makes up part of the orbit of the eye. So I would look at the cranial bones. Then I would look at what bones are in the orbit of the eye. Zygomatic bone is here. The ethmoid bone is here. The frontal bone forms the top of the eye socket. So you look at that. There's the zygomatic arch. And actually there's a zygomatic arch of the temporal bone that joins the zygomatic bone. So, and then you've got the maxilla and the mandible. So you can play with this. You can look at any system in the body. You can turn it upside down. And you can see it from all angles. And it's a pretty neat app, or a pretty neat program. And I do like to use it. But you have to have an updated flash and everything to use it. Okay? So let's go back. I'll post the videos so that you'll be able to get to Miriam Diamond. Remember, it's 42 minutes in that she talks about this, but you're welcome to look at whatever. And she has several videos. She really spends a lot of time on the skeletal system. And then there's compact bone, and in your book, and Mr. Anderson talks about it too, there's a Haversian system, which is the same as an osteon. And that's a living thing, and it's a really neat thing. And then spongy bone, or bone marrow, is where bone marrow, there's yellow marrow and there's red marrow that produces the blood cells. Yellow marrow is stored fat. So storage of fat and energy is there. Producing of blood cells is in the bone. So take a look again at the functions with Paul Anderson, and then think about those as you go through this outline. I hope you have a good week, and we'll see you again on the next video. Thank you.